You've seen them before, those overflowing trash bins at the beach, the ball game, or just walking through the city. Well, now a Massachusetts-based company hopes it has the answer and is seeing green in the process. Meet Big Belly, a new solar-powered trash compactor that's already been put to use throughout Boston, New York, Washington, D.C., as well as other locations around New Jersey, Maryland, and New England. Joining me now is its inventor and the president of Seahorse Power Company, Jim Poss, and Tim McCarthy from the Boston Department of Public Works. Thank you both for being here. Mr. Poss, what were you doing when the idea of this came to you? Were you trying to stuff something in an overflowing trash bin? What were you doing?
Well, I guess it was a series of events. Neighbors of mine had a trash compactor in their kitchen when I was a kid. And of course, being a mischievous kid, we used to break things in them, smush everything we could in them. Then a decade later, I was in the electric vehicle industry, and I was selling different components, motors and gearboxes and batteries and solar panels. And I gained a familiarity with all those components. And then again, years later, I was in business school, searching to put my environmental career, my environmental schooling to work. And I looked at several renewable energy business models, business plans. And this was one of them, and it was the most economical, it made the most sense. And we started cold calling customers, potential customers. And Vail Ski Resort said, we have a huge trash problem. We go to these remote sites on the mountain. We burn diesel getting there with expensive snowcats. We'll buy 3. And that's how we got started.
That's very interesting. So, Mr. McCarthy, when somebody like this with a brand new thing calls the Department of Public Works, how hard is it to get somebody to go, oh, totally new idea, new concept? Yeah, we'll buy it.
It's not easy. Everything goes through the budget department. And over the next 6 months, we hope to prove that the Big Belly barrels will save us money in the long run. And for instance, we put 10 of them down Downtown Crossing. Now, if you're from Boston, everybody knows Downtown Crossing is bustling all the time. You come out of the T station, you've got your coffee cup, you throw it into a barrel. We're changing those barrels anywhere from 4 to 8 times. And the barrels immediately by the T stations in really busy areas, we're traveling and changing them up to 10 to 15 times. The Downtown Crossing barrels right now, we're changing once every other day. So that means you've got guys who usually change the barrels doing other things, patching sidewalks, hoking with brooms, doing their own work, any quality of life issues they can be doing. Plus, you're not using the trucks that are cutting through Downtown Crossing when pedestrians are walking. So all in all, it seems to be going very well for us.
So cutting down, if it's 15 a day and you're doing 1 every other day,
that's right.
It can cut out 29 truck trips through the middle of a busy, congested downtown street?
That's correct. And the old cliche is time equals money. And if we have 3 or 4 guys who are on a route changing trash barrels, that saves a lot of time. They can do other things.
Mr. Poss, explain how these things work. Are there safety devices built into them? Are you worried that some mean person is going to put a cat in there and, well, then you're out of business? Be on Fox News. You're the bad guy.
Well, sure. It's pretty simple. Basically, what we're trying to do is use a little bit of solar energy in the right way to save the city money. We do that by crushing down the trash to a fraction of its size. Basically, if you think about what trash is, it's mostly air. You have a coffee cup or a container that's made for food. It's made to hold something, so it's mostly air. Basically, we take solar energy, we generate energy all day, and we use it as needed to compact the trash. So when there's a sensor inside that picks up the signal that it's full, it'll automatically run a compaction cycle and smush that down. We've seen anywhere from a 4-to-1 reduction in collections to an astounding many more times than that reduction, and it really depends on the type of trash that's going in there.
Mr. McCarthy, what happens after the trash has been compacted? Because sometimes the long-term effects of something could be not quite what you considered. Is there any concern that if you smush stuff down like this, it doesn't biodegrade as quickly as it would have if there's lots of air?
Yep. Well, I tell you, we have a lot of new initiatives coming out of the recycling division, and as most people in Boston know, Mayor Menino is very concerned with our recycling. And that was one of the topics that Seahorse and I have had many conversations about. Actually, at some point in time, maybe as the pilot program comes to an end and I can prove and we can prove that we're saving money and we're doing the right thing, maybe having some of these barrels that will actually be blue for recyclables only. Maybe having a attachment on the side for cans, so people who collect cans who need that income have an opportunity, because these are going to frustrate some people because you can't get in there. The beauty of these barrels is if you get a good gust of wind, with the old barrels, sometimes you'll get coffee cups that'll be picked right up out of the barrel and onto the street they go, where we'll have to send out crews to clean that up. No matter how much the wind blows, there's nothing coming out of the big belly unless you open it up.
And to add a little bit about your question about biodegradability of the trash, this ultimately has no effect on what happens to trash. When the truck comes by, it compacts the trash. It goes to a transfer station, it compacts the trash again, and then it gets to a landfill or a recycling facility where it's either compacted more or the materials are separated and then later recycled. We just compact at a different time. We compact on site before the truck gets there, so the truck has to come less often.
One of the things we used to hear about solar panels was that they're great, they're really a cool invention, but the price is so high. When the price comes down someday way off in the future, right, they'll be far more in use. Has that day come? Has the price point come down for solar panels?
Well, in certain applications, solar panels make a lot of sense. In our application, for example, we, as I said, concentrate energy that we generate over a whole day into a small period of time. The compactor runs for 5 minutes, essentially, on a busy day. So in that, we're actually competing with the garbage truck going and making all these trips. So you're competing with something that's really expensive, hundreds of dollars per hour. If you're competing with an established electricity grid, which has a power plant that's running efficiently, the cost comparison isn't as favorable for solar panels. In general, they're getting cheaper and cheaper every day. The more that get out there brings the price down because more people are making them. But what I think is that solar panels used in the right situations make a lot of sense.
When I told somebody that we were going to do this segment on the show, and said, like a trash compactor, say, we used to see those, like you talked about, in houses all the time. I don't see them anymore. Did they fall out of favor, or are they still reasonably popular?
I think they're reasonably popular as well. There's still a bunch of different models. They haven't changed very much. People are still buying them. There's still a business there. What we do is, for the first time ever, take the cord away, so now you can place this virtually anywhere throughout the city. They could never, in the city of Boston, or it would be extremely expensive if they were to try to wire up the city for these things.
Mr. McCarthy, what kind of feedback did the mayor get on this? He's going out on a limb a little bit. This is a bit different. Yeah. Is he getting positive stuff?
Yeah, he is getting a lot of positive stuff, and it is out on a limb, but it's fun for us because we have a lot of departments that do a lot of innovative things. We have parks departments and concerts and everything else. Public Works Department, we're the potholes, we're the bridge guys, we plow your snow. This is the first time in a long time we got to go out and say, hey, look what we can do. And it's going really well. We have several locations, Newberry Street, Boylston Street. We have them in Faneuil Hall and Quincy Market. We have one pilot program out in Mattapan Square, which is a small neighborhood business district. And those business owners, they call me daily. It's phenomenal for them because they're happy that they're the first ones to be used. But also it's a great sense of pride. And you'll see people circling the barrel, wondering how it works, and it's really creating a buzz. It's pretty cool.
Have you, in the back of your mind, I don't want to ruin any patents, but have you thought of other applications for this kind of thing?
Well, in the last 3.5 years, we've really concentrated on energy efficiency because that's ultimately what's going to make these things work better, work in more locations, and work at a cost that's lower, and we're driving that down all the time. Other applications, right now we have our hands full. I mean, the city of Boston already wants to look at recycling units, which will require a couple changes. This is a really big problem. Collection in the United States costs $45 billion and burns 1 billion gallons of diesel every year. That's diesel that's imported from other countries and costing upwards of $3.50 a gallon now. So we have more problems to solve before we move on.
Tim McCarthy from Department of Public Works and Jim Post, thank you so much for bringing this in, and get to work on potholes next week.
Okay.